Hey there. This is in response to a question by IDK, and I'm going to go ahead and read you the question. IDK says, can you either type or make a more detailed video explaining your chain, going over each plugin one by one? And two, what are your levels going into your DAW before it hits the very first plugin? That's a very good question. Actually, I'm going to start with two because that comes first. So let's take a look here. So we're back here in the same project, and if you haven't seen the previous video, which is basically how to create a vocal chain without having the hardware, all you need is an input, a basic preamp like I'm using my Duet, or you can use, there's hundreds of them out there, but this is creating that effect without having like a real 1176 or a really expensive quote-unquote preamp. I feel like that's the old way of doing things, and now there's so much good software emulation that you can do it this way. So first let's take a look at what my level is going in. So on the lead vocal here, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of these effects. I'll just turn these off here. And let's just turn off our automation here. Actually, where is that? Right. Okay, cool. So it's on my own from here. It's all becoming clear. I had my only chance. I had my true romance. It's on my own from here. Okay, so it looks like I'm actually recording pretty hot. It looks like it's coming in around -5, -6, and actually that's actually I recorded a little too loud. I've always heard around -15, -20 is a good level. Just because we're in a digital age, you're not fighting the noise ratio that used to fight back in the day. Everything is so clean. But to answer your question, IDK, this is the level I'm coming in at around -6. Here, let's see here. It's on my own from here. It's all becoming clear. I had my lasting dance. I had my say. And honestly, there's no real right answer now. I mean, because we're in such a high quality digital age, I've dealt with everything from super hot input levels like this, and I've dealt with quieter levels, and you can just kind of adjust it once you get into your plugin, because you're not dealing with that much noise. I mean, it's so minimal, and the signal is so clean. Okay, so our level's looking like it's around -6, and I'm just going into, I'm not really changing anything on the first plugin here. The only thing that I've changed is this is a high pass filter here, meaning that anything with this number or below is going to get rolled off, and everything above this frequency is going to stay in. So I'm rolling off all of the low-end bass from 45 hertz and down, because I don't think we really need that in the voice. And then I'm not adding anything here in the low frequency. And I've also got another video that you can check out, which actually explains this 1073 plugin. This is an emulation of the 1073 hardware unit, and lots of manufacturers make them, but I break this down into detail, so definitely go and check that out. But I'm not adding anything here in the low frequency or the mid frequencies, nothing on the high frequency. We're just going through this to emulate the hardware saturation that you would get if you had the real unit. Then next, we're going into an 1176 emulation. And again, lots of different manufacturers make their version of this hardware unit. And I would encourage you to check out the video I have on this, on how to use an 1176 on vocals. I break down what the input, the output, the attack, and the release, and the ratio, and what those guys do. In this case, I read about a really prominent producer who has recorded a lot of bands that I really like, and this is, in this article I read, this is what he does. He was going through, he just had a microphone going through the 1176, I'm sorry, the 1073 into an 1176 with no compression, and that's what this is doing. So it's just coloring the sound going in. So I just use the actual, where is Unity Gain? I use this Unity preset to set that. So nothing, there's no compression at all. It's just completely flat. And again, if you want to know more about this, I've got that video on how to use the 1176. Then next, I'm actually going into Auto-Tune. And there's two ways of doing it. You can actually, this is kind of the easy, lazy way. It's kind of a set it and forget it. It's an auto mode. So I've set it to low male voice. See, I've got a weird voice. Sometimes it works better on, tenor alto, and sometimes it works better on the low male. But for this, this setting was working. And then I usually like to keep the retune speed around the center here, around 40 or so. That way you're not getting that electronic sound. But sometimes you want that, and you would turn it up, and you get that pop kind of T-Pain sound. And you can see I like this humanized little function. And this is just on, I guess the key is in C. I don't really remember. So I'll usually set it to the key. Sometimes setting it to the actual key works. Sometimes going to just a chromatic scale will work best. Now, if you want a better, and quite honestly, had I gotten a little bit more detailed on this song, the auto-tune would have been better. You can go into this graphical mode, and I can do a tutorial on that later, where you capture all of the audio, and you actually go in and fine-tune each little line. You can control how much vibrato, you can control how much pitch. It's a lot more detailed than what you can control as opposed to the set it and forget it here. So this is not affecting, I'm not affecting the volume at all of the signal. So far, these plugins should not be raising or lowering the volume of the signal that much. But because they're emulating hardware units, they may add a little bit more distortion or add a little bit more volume. Actually, we can check it out. Let's see. We were around -6 before, so let's play back. I had my lasting dance, I had my secret trance. It's all alone for me. Yep, and you can see it's not affecting the overall volume of the signal coming in. Now when we get to the 1176, where we're actually going to be adding compression, this is going to be affecting the signal. So I've got this rock my vocal setting, which I like. And if you look at this meter right here, it's going to be showing how much gain reduction we're adding to the signal. So here we go. This is actually the first compression we're adding in the chain. Back.
it's all become clear. I had my lasting dance, I had my sacred trance. It's all along from here.
So you can see it's hitting right about here. And our signal,
I had my lasting dance, I had my sacred trance. It's all along from here. Like the shifting lights of time, I could hold you in my mind. Like the fading hour of day, I could keep you locked away. I can't see past.
I think it's coming in around the same level, maybe even a little hotter. But it's ballpark here. So that's that. These are the settings I'm using on this vocal. And again, check out that 1176 video. Then from here, I'm going into an L1. And I've heard so many people diss using a limiter on a VO, but I have read articles of a really, really great mixing engineer using this technique, and that's, I mean, I'm just pulling from the best. So this was a setting he actually had, and I've tried it, and I've tested it actually with different producers when I'm actually mixing for film, and they prefer it with this on. So, and I do too. So what it's doing here is it's limiting the dynamic range of the actual signal. So we're compressing it first and then adding a little bit of limiting, so it's a little bit more in your face. You probably wouldn't want to do this on, well, maybe you would, but you probably wouldn't want to do this if it was like a light acoustic track. This really helps it to punch through when you've got, you know, lots of drums and lots of guitar and synths and stuff you're trying to break through the mix, which is what's going on here. So let's take this out and we'll add it back in.
See past the wall in front of me, but I see love.
See the weight it gives? I mean, it does, yes, it crushes the sound, but it gives you, it really helps the vocal to sit in the mix a lot better. So let's see. So before we were around,
like the shifting lights of time, I could hold you in my mind. Like the fading hour of day, I could keep.
So the overall, the decibel level here is coming in at the same level with this, but the perceived level is a lot louder, if that makes any sense. Okay, so now that we go out of this L1, I go into a de-esser, and I just select the male S and then kind of ballpark it from there. So here, let's see.
Like the fading hour of day, I could keep you locked away. I can't see past the wall in
and what you're hearing, I mean, I'm going really extreme on this. It's a really distorted, compressed, in-your-face sound. A lot of people would really, I don't know, kind of get down on this, but I like it. And what this de-esser is doing is it's taking my S's down, that sibilant sound, but it's also kind of softening the frequencies around this range, which I kind of like. And what I have it on the split mode, and then you just bring this threshold down. The more you bring it down, the more it's de-essing. So.
wall in front of me, but I see love. Yes, I see love. It's on my own from here.
And then I'm going into this SSL, and I'm using the Chris Lord Algae Rock Vox, which I really, really like his settings. And then I think I just dialed them back a bit, but I just used his his preset, I think I'm just using his EQ here. Let's see. I don't think I'm using any compression. Let's take a look.
Like the shifting lights of time, I could hold you in my mind. Like the fading hour of day, I could keep you locked away. I can't see past the wall, past the wall in front of me, but I see love. Yes, I see.
So no, I'm not using any compression from the SSL. I'm just using this EQ. So if you can kind of see, there's a low pass filter here, again set at 70. And then we're raising 8 hertz. It's a shelf EQ. So we're raising everything from 8 kilohertz and above. And then this, let's see, we're doing a bell. And this is the Q of the bell. And set to 2, and we're raising 2 decibels of 4 kilohertz. And let's see here, we're adding 2 dB of 2.5, and here again, here's our Q. And then I raised, I think he actually had this cut, I raised this, we're raising 4 decibels of 100 hertz. So let's take a look here. And this over here is a noise gate. So that's, you know, anything above the set level is it's keeping extraneous noise out. Okay, so here we go.
I had my lasting dance, I had my sacred trance. It's all alone from here. Like the shifting lights of time, I could hold you in my mind. Like the fading hour of day, I could keep you locked away.
Now you're seeing we're pretty loud here. We're getting up there. I think we were at 6 and now we're at -3. And then after this, I went into Manny American, who is an amazing mixer as well as Chris Lord-Alge. These guys are the greats. Using his distortion. And distortion is really cool because it makes things stick out in the mix and it can kind of make things gel. So here, I'll turn it off and I'll play back.
I could hold you in my mind like the fading hour of day. I could keep you locked away. I can't sleep.
See how it just kind of, I mean, it really gives it some weight and colors it in a pleasing way. And I think I'm using his just distorted vocal and kind of mess with the drive a little bit here. And again, our levels, what? Let's look at our level.
Like the shifting lights of time, I could hold you in my mind.
So we're a little bit louder now, even louder. And then I go into the CLA effect. Let's see, Chris Lord-Alge stuff. Can you tell what mixers I like? Okay, so, oh, this tape phase is really cool. So he's got all these different settings, like different types of EQ, different types of distortion. I think I just went for his tape phase thing. Here, I'll turn it off. So here's without.
In my mind, like the fading hour of day, I could keep you locked away. I can't see past the wall.
See, it kind of adds that little phase effect. Here, I'll turn it. I don't want to totally. This is at -7.8, so I'll turn it all the way up, and you can hear.
It's all becoming clear. I had my lasting dance, I had my sacred trance. It's all alone from here.
Yeah, and am I totally destroying the vocal? Yeah, that's what I was going for. It just makes it I don't know, stick out in the mix more. Let's see here. And then I like using this vocal ride. Sometimes, like in some of the studios I work in, I've got a nice console, and like I like to use the S6 and the D command. They've got great faders, and I like to actually ride the vocal that way. And then sometimes I just like slapping this effect and allowing the plugin to do the work. So what this vocal rider does is I don't really know how it works, but it's listening to the overall mix and then writing the vocal as a human would. So in addition to the compression and the EQ and all that, this is doing vocal rides like you would do. But if you don't have a fader or a mixing console, or you don't want to, this is performing this work. This automation here, this is additional automation into this, but I hope that makes sense. Like if you had a real fader and you were writing it, it would show all of these up and down movements here. So you can draw it all in. As you see here, I just have basic overall levels, but this kind of does the work for you. So here, I'll take it off.
It's on my own from here. It's on my own from here. It's all becoming clear. I had my lasting dance. I had my...
Cool. And then what did I do here with this L2? Okay, so now this L2 is just set here as a brick wall limiter to keep it from clipping. So it's not doing anything. I've just got it set at 0 to kind of prevent overs. I think. It's been a while since I've been on this song. Maybe even like setting this out ceiling here would be a better setting. And then, let's see, I have let's see what this bus here is. Okay, so it looks like I'm creating a double here. Let's see what that sounds like.
I had my sacred trance. It's all alone from here, like the shifting lights of time.
So I'll turn this all the way up so you can see. Let's see, this is around negative 29.5. Here's what it'll sound like.
It's all becoming clear. I had my only chance. I had my true.
So what that is doing is just kind of thickening up the vocal, like if you were to record two other parts. This is an artificial way of doing it, and I'm just kind of subtly slapping it in the mix there. And then let's see what else I got here. I am going through a ping pong delay here. So
My true romance, it's on my own from here.
I'm going to go ahead and turn this. Oh yeah, the vocal's really loud in the mix, by the way, because this automation that I've written here is off. This is all the way up, so that's why it's disproportionate. It's really exaggerated so you can hear what I'm doing very clearly. So again, if I'm bussing out a little bit of a doubler, the waves doubler there, And then now I'm adding a little bit of delay. If you can hear, I'll play it and then on and turn it off.
It's all becoming clear.
Hear that bouncing back and forth? That's this guy right here. It's a ping pong delay. And then I'm adding a little, let's see here. I'm adding, let's see what this is, like a 0.5 second small reverb. So let's hear what that sounds like.
I had my only chance, I had my true romance. It's some.
So we've got a little delay and then we've got a little bit of reverb. I'll take off the delay so you can hear what the reverb by itself sounds like.
I had my only chance, I had my true romance. It's on my own from here.
So it's just subtle. It creates some space. So you've got a little delay, you've got a little small reverb, and then I think I add in here some more delay, looks like. Let's check it out.
It's on my own from here. It's all becoming clear. It's all becoming clear. I had my only chance, I had my true romance. It's on.
So got two different delays and then a reverb. A lot of times I like to use maybe one delay and a short reverb and a long reverb. There's no right or wrong, but having several delays and having several reverbs will help it to kind of sit in the mix a little bit better. So this isn't, I don't remember what setting I've set here, but so the mix may be a little bit off from the original, but let's turn this back on. So it's going to bring the level down.
It's on my own from here. It's all becoming clear. I had my only chance, I had my.
And all that stuff that was really in your face when you have the level brought way up, when you sit it back in the mix, it's not as drastic. You're noticing you're not really hearing the delays and the distortion and all of that stuff as much once you bring it down into the mix. So yes, these are all really drastic moves, but sometimes you need to do that to get it to sit right and to compete with everything else. Here, I'll take everything else off, leaving the original level here, and you can hear what it sounds like.
It's on my own from here. It's all becoming clear. I had my only chance, I had my true romance. It's on my own from here. It's on my own from here. It's all becoming clear. I had my lasting dance, I had my sacred trance. It's all alone from here. Like the shifting lights.
And it's overloading because I'm doing this on my laptop, not in my studio. Well, it was overloading in my studio as well. Never fast enough. Let's see here. What was the question? Can you either type or make a more detailed video explaining your chain going over each plugin one by one? What are your levels going into your DAW before it hits every plugin? I think I answered that for you. You go ahead and let me know. Tried to cover everything as quickly as possible. And if you have any more questions, let me know. I hope that helped. And again, if you have any questions, I made a video on the 1073 and the 1176 by itself. Hope that answers your questions. All right, and if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great one wherever you are. All right, take care.